go big or go home, I guess. I'm not going home until this is over.
Exactly. I was on the coach train today, so I'm gonna stay here after this. This place still way gets better there too.
It's the first time they've had food here in quite a while.
What is this, David? It's a sign dedication. It's a sign dedication. You're absolutely correct. But it's also the old Members' Day and all that. And it's really nice to see all the smiling members and all of that. As you know, we've had a few losses here, and but gosh, we're still. I'm still around, so and I know. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, keep trying. That's what keeps me going. Anyway, so my name's Dick Callis. Obviously, a lot of people do know. I'm the executive director, and I'll be the MC today. So, what we're going to do, we're going to introduce a couple of people that are going to speak, and then Lisa Stark here will speak, give a few words. And if you notice, we got the best knife switch we could find. The Dr. Zarkov's laboratory over there in the Barn 4 sent this over, and we're going to actually light the sign up here for the first time. So, with no further ado or anything, I'm going to introduce the Vice President. The President, Marcus Ruth, he had a family obligation that he had to take care of, and he sends his best regards. But Jason Maxwell is our first Vice President and Board of Directors, and Jason's going to say a few words. And here we go. So,
hey, Jason!
Good evening, everybody. As you can see, we got a really large podium here. We have plenty of extra room. As Nick said, I'm Jason Maxwell. I'm the first Vice President of the museum. Really want to thank everyone for being here tonight. You know, it's really the volunteers and the people that support this museum all year long to really make all of this possible. I just want to really thank everyone. It was a great day for Members Weekend. We had a lot of equipment running. It was perfect weather, really good food at the Faye's Barbecue, so I hope you all had a good time tonight. You know, I've been a volunteer here. Yep, great day today. Great day today. I've been a volunteer here for a little over 30 years now, and so it's getting a little tougher to claim I'm one of the young guys now. But when I look back over those 30 years, it's really amazing how much the museum has changed, both in the growth of the collection and the continuous improvement of the campus. You know, the campus is much better than it was 30 years ago. It's a really beautiful venue now. We have great equipment, great campus, and you know, we're trying to expand and save as many different aspects of railroading as we can. It's not just collecting locomotives and cars. It's collecting signs. It's collecting bright lights like this UP light behind us. A lot of the signs around campus that you'll see. So just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. And with that, I'm going to, I believe, hand it over to Dave.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Diamond. I serve as Superintendent of Buildings and Grounds, GM Facilities, and I've been here since 1986 is when I started. When I was about 10, I convinced my parents to bring me out here to the museum. And after that first visit, I was hooked. Subsequent visits allowed me to explore a little more, look around a little further, and I discovered some very interesting neon signs. I saw the South Shore sign that's next to the barn here. Didn't look like that. It wasn't lit up, but it was really a great sign. I really enjoyed it. And there were some other ones laying around, literally, as well. Little did I know that when I got involved with the museum, not too many years later, that I would be involved in putting those signs up, and then we've come back and actually reinstalled them. And we lit them up into some of the displays you see here tonight. So we're very proud of that, very happy about the way the museum looks here during the evening. And I guess I'll certainly thank my parents for allowing me to come out here and bringing me at an early age to take a look at the museum. It was enjoyable for them the first time, but probably the fifth time they got a little tired. But I never did. I kept coming back. So in 2004, Nick had asked me about the Union Pacific sign from Omaha. And he said, do we want it? The UP had planned to move into their new office building, the UP Center, across the street. My initial inclination was, that's too modern of a sign. Why do we want that? This is the museum. Everything should be old. And then decided, you know what, it is kind of a unique piece. Let's go get it. So I drove out to Omaha in November of 2004. And riding back across Iowa, you have a lot of time to think. And I thought about the sign, and I thought the safest thing to do with this sign is to put it up in the air immediately. That's the only place we could store it safely. The museum's always had a shortage of adequate indoor storage. We put the rail cars in, everything else sits outside. So we wanted to get this sign installed, and that's what we did. A team of volunteers from the Buildings and Grounds Department, along with myself, we put the sign up. It was a non-illuminated display. So it was first installed on December 18, 2004. And it was pretty much like you see it today. It was a non-illuminated display, intact, preserved, safe, always awaiting illumination. Originally, the sign was lit up with fluorescent tubes, long fluorescent tubes. They might have been 6 or 8 feet long in some cases. And so it ended up being a little bit of a chore to consider putting the tubes in. We really didn't have the funding to do it. This sign became an instant display here on Barn 3. So last year, we had a maintenance project on the barn. We ended up re-siding the entire barn, doing some stabilization work, and it forced the removal of the sign. We needed to take it down. And we wanted to illuminate it. We finally decided the time has come. So that was late last year. And tonight, the Union Pacific sign is going to become our 7th illuminated outdoor sign display. So we're pretty happy about that. We've really got some unique displays in and around our very unique collection of railroad equipment. When you talk about illumination, though, I did want to spend a minute and just acknowledge our longtime IRM volunteer electrician, Max Timms. Max was instrumental in working with me to hook up a lot of these signs through the years. Max was really responsible for our entire electrical grid that you see here at the museum. The overhead lines for the streetcars, the trolley line, and the AC power as well. Max was a dedicated volunteer. He spent probably close to 40 years here. So Max passed away about 2 weeks ago. So just want to have a moment for him. I want to acknowledge, though, all of the sign restorations that you see. Each and every one of them here tonight is the responsibility of one man that I work with. In addition to Max, to hooking it up here, on the other end, the sign restoration, Mr. Tony Cilia from MK Signs, Chicago, his wife Jackie, they're joining us tonight. Tony's been involved with us for at least 20 years on restoring many of the neon signs, all of them in fact, that you see, the Santa Fe sign that we did some years ago, and tonight the illumination of the Union Pacific sign. So Tony, I want to thank you for all your help and support across the museum through the years. You've made this night possible. So after doing some research for the information sign that you see behind us here on the wall of the barn, I discovered that the headquarters building originally had a nearly 40-foot square UP neon sign. They took it down in 1959, so we did want to ask the railroad if you had it in storage somewhere. We would like to put that up, or if the railroad would ever like to recommission a 40-foot neon sign, we're very interested. So I just wanted to throw that out there as an opportunity for the future. But that sign was taken down. This sign was put up in probably 1970 through the records that we found. And what's interesting too, in the research that I did, the Union Pacific shield actually dates back to not quite the start of the Union Pacific, but 1887. And then a year later, they added the red, white, and blue patriotic colors. So there's just a lot of history, and this is just an enduring American symbol. I want to acknowledge many of our volunteers and staff who have made this display possible. I mentioned Max, of course. Jerry Lynn, our longtime assistant superintendent of buildings and grounds. Jerry's moved to Texas within the last year, but Jerry was instrumental in assisting back in 2004. Tom Opoloni, longtime volunteer. Les Asher, Al Chautka. Al's here tonight. Al's going to help coordinate the lighting here in a few minutes. Carl Ilwitzer, longtime assistant in B&G and helped across the museum. Summer helper Andrew Erbstoser, also a nephew of mine, we'll throw that out. And of course, Tony's staff at MK Signs, Richard and Mike, made a lot of this possible. I want to acknowledge my wife Jamie for putting up with me for traveling around the country and looking at oddball displays, railroad and signs and all kinds of interesting things. So, thanks, Sarah. Appreciate that. And then certainly want to acknowledge the Union Pacific Railroad Foundation. Lisa Stark is here tonight. So we look forward to this display and really thank everybody for hanging around tonight before you start riding some trains. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Stark. Go back in there. Yes,
Thank you, David. Thank you, David, and thank you, Jason, for those kind words. Tonight, we're very honored to have the Vice President of Government Affairs of the Northern Region of the Union Pacific, Lisa Stark. She's based here in Chicago, but her region goes from Chicago all the way to California. And poor Lisa, her other job when she was out at Roseville, she had another railroad museum on her charge, and now she's stuck with us. But if it wasn't for the Union Pacific and through Lisa's efforts and that and the foundation for giving us this grant for lighting a sign, we obviously wouldn't be doing this here tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Lisa Stark.
Good evening. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today, and as Nick, he gave you my background, so I think I'm done. But it is absolutely a pleasure to be here. I am a transplant from Northern California to Chicago. It's absolutely fantastic to be located and have my work location be in North America's freight capital. I'm here tonight representing Union Pacific's chairman, president, and CEO, Lance Fritz, as well as my direct boss, Scott Moore, who is our senior vice president of corporate relations and chief administrative officer, and also president of the Union Pacific Foundation, which has helped fund the sign. And part of the fun things about knowing Nick Callis is I heard the mixed reviews that were going on as he was starting to talk. But one thing we know about Nick is he's extremely persistent. And that persistence has paid off. I've been here 2 times now in the last 3 months. And I didn't know how persistent he was about this sign until I got here tonight, and I read that he actually took the photos of the sign when it was on top of the old Union Pacific headquarters, and now he's been successful and had convinced me that it was a good idea to maybe have the Union Pacific Foundation look at actually funding the lighting of the sign. So again, it's just a privilege to be here. I think a lot of you as rail enthusiasts know and understand the history of the railroads to the state of Illinois and the United States, of course. This year is a very significant event for Union Pacific and the rail industry as a whole, as we've been celebrating the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike at Promontory back in May. And I think I've seen a lot of folks here wearing different memorabilia related to Big Boy. So hopefully you've had a chance to enjoy Big Boy as he's been making his rounds across the Midwest. You're probably already tuned in to the Union Pacific Steam Club, but Big Boy is going to be heading out again at the beginning of October through Utah into California and then into our southern states. It's going to be a 60-day ride and route for our crews to be out on that, so it's going to be pretty fun. So if you haven't had a chance to see that yet, I encourage you to go to Union Pacific's website or the Union Pacific Steam Club, which actually has a schedule of that posted currently. So with that, I just want to thank you for the opportunity again to be here tonight. it's extremely fitting for me that a sign that existed on Union Pacific's headquarters has landed back in Illinois, the land of Lincoln, and the founder of Union Pacific Railroad's state. And with that, I think it's time to do the honors.
Let's light her up. So Lisa, we're going to give her some instructions here on this switch here. Don't touch anything. I know the guys who rigged this up, so don't touch anything. So we're going to do a countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Lisa's going to grab this handle and push it that way. Yep, push her that way, and there we go. So, do you want to do the countdown here? We'll let you do it. Oh, hang on there. How does this work? Okay, so everybody follow Lisa's lead.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off!
Thank you, Lisa. And this formally concludes tonight's activity here on the relighting of the sign. We hope everybody's happy. Tell your friends. And now we're going to resume our regular night operations here. Everybody's invited to stay for night operations. And we hope to see you here again next year. Thanks again, folks. How about that?